Welcome to Lead with Clarity. This is a space for leaders who want to grow without losing themselves in the process. Each episode is a short reflection on leadership, influence, and the inner work that shapes how we show up for others. Not hype, not noise, just clear thinking for the journey of leading well. Today's episode is entitled Confidence is Silent. Here we go. There's something most leaders never talk about openly. That's the relationship between noise and fear. We live in a professional culture that rewards the loudest voice in the room, the one who fills every silence, the one who always has an answer. Here's what I've noticed after years of coaching executive leaders. The most powerful people in any room are almost never the loudest ones. Today I want to sit with a quote that has stayed with me a long time. It's one of those lines that feels obvious the moment you hear it, but takes years to fully understand in the context of your own leadership. That quote is, "Confidence is silent. Insecurities are loud." It's often attributed to Lao Tzu, and whether or not the sourcing is precise, the truth of it is undeniable. Let's think about that again. Confidence is silent. Insecurities are loud. Let that settle for a moment. I want you to think about a leader you've known or worked with who had real presence. Not the one who talked the most, the one you trusted the most. Chances are, that person didn't need to convince you of anything. Their decisions spoke. Their consistency spoke. Their calm in the middle of chaos spoke. Now think about the person in your orbit who fills every room with words, with explanations, with defensiveness when challenged. That's not dominance. That's distress wearing a confident costume. I've sat across from senior executives who couldn't tolerate 15 seconds of silence in a meeting. They would jump in, redirect, restate what someone else just said. Not because they had something to add, but because silence felt dangerous to them. And in that moment, they revealed more about their internal state than any words ever could. Here's where leaders sometimes get this wrong. They confuse quietness with passivity. They think that being silent means being withdrawn, that holding back means lacking conviction, so they try to fill the space. They perform certainty. They speak before they have thought it through because they believe that speaking is the evidence of leadership. But loudness and leadership are not the same thing. They often run in opposite directions. Confidence doesn't need to prove itself. That's the entire point. When you are genuinely clear on who you are, what you believe, and where you are going, you don't need external validation to stay grounded. You can sit in a difficult conversation without defending yourself at every turn. You can pause. You can say, "Let me think about that." You can disagree without being disagreeable and agree without being spineless. The leader who speaks last in a meeting, who listens more than they talk, who lets silence do the heavy lifting in a negotiation, that leader is operating from a fundamentally different internal state than the one who talks to manage their own anxiety. Silence is not absence. Silence is evidence of something settled inside you. This week, I'd like for you to pay attention to when you are talking to add value and when you are talking to manage fear. Most of us do both, but the distinction matters. Ask yourself, when I over-explain my decisions, who am I trying to convince? When I interrupt to insert my perspective, what am I afraid will happen if I don't? When I raise my voice or accelerate my pace in a difficult conversation, what's the feeling underneath that? The answers aren't comfortable, but they are clarifying. Every great leader I've worked with has done this internal audit at some point, and almost every one of them found that the loudest chapters of their career were also the most fearful ones. Confidence is silent, not because confident people have nothing to say, because they're not saying things to prove something. Their presence is not a performance. It's a posture. It's a posture built over time through self-knowledge, honest feedback, and the willingness to sit with discomfort rather than talk over it. The room already knows who you are. The question is whether what they are hearing from you confirms it or contradicts it. Let your leadership speak before you do.